I think Garcelle walked in to, what is it called? She walked into a,
An ambush?
yes, that's the word. I think if anything, she thought she'd have an easier time this episode. She's on the last chair, which isn't good, but it's not good for your future, but it also means you're probably not going to be in the hot seat.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of it, with everything going on between Sutton and Dorit versus Kyle, you could see her as they were circling around her slowly. It clicked. Oh my God, I'm the one they're taking out.
We gonna stir it up and do things our way. So if you wanna move, get out of our way.
How's it going? And you're pathetic. No. I'm trying. I'm trying to segue. I'm trying to segue from my really, really bad LVP impressions to my much more like semi-accurate Kathy impressions for you guys. So
I think that's
welcome,
better.
welcome. Huh. Could you pass me the microphone, honey?
Well, we didn't get any Kathy this episode,
No.
episode 1 of the reunion.
Yeah, that's right. We are here for Beverly Hills, part 1 of the reunion. Part 1 of Garcelle's farewell.
Mm-hmm.
Farewell to Garcelle.
There we go. Farewell to Garcelle. That's what we'll title this episode.
Yeah.
I should make a note. Where's my notepad? I did not get my notepad out. That's no bueno, Stacy. Are they at Warner Brothers filming this? That's what it looked like to me. Like,
I'm not sure. It used to be Van Nuys, like,
right.
but there's a soundstage by the airport they do a lot of reunions at,
Mm-hmm.
like Vanderpump and OC. But I actually don't remember. I remember at one point it moved to Culver City. I don't know where this one.
Yeah, but this one looks like I could definitely be wrong because I haven't been to every single lot in this town. But to me, this looks like the Warner Brothers lot, like the the like dressing room bungalows that they have and stuff like that. But I could be completely wrong. So I don't know. But anyway, that's like my top question. I was like, where are I don't, but at the same time, I don't think they would be at Warner Brothers. Like, why would they be at Warner? Why wouldn't they be at NBC Universal? Anyway,
Yeah.
that's besides the point. And NBC Universal does not look like that. They do not have that color paint on stuff. So, yeah. Anyway.
Should we dive into, I mean,
Yes,
where do
please.
I guess, where do we begin? It's, I did catch that fun little burn to get us ready as Andy's going dressing room to greet his angels, Andy's angels. And what Erika says to Kyle, how about I faint on the couch and then say you're the only one who could go to the hospital with me?
Oh my God. I was like, I mean, I thought that was funny and mean at the same time. It's one of those things where it's funny between them. Like if you're like, let's be catty and bitchy right now, it's funny, but like in the grand scheme of things, it's like,
Well, Andy leaned into it too, because then we cut to the opening where he greets everyone and he warns Sutton that Kathy's coming.
I know. Well, and then Garcelle leaned into it too, because she was like, I would like a cast picture with all of the cast. But that also goes back to like 3 years ago when Kyle wasn't a member of the cast, when she left early. She wasn't a part of the cast picture. And then last year, Garcelle and Sutton weren't because Sutton went to the hospital. But we know that this year there is not a full cast picture because Garcelle left early. So,
and I can tell you guys, after the reunion, Kyle and Kathy went out to the Polo Lounge together.
Of course they did.
Which used to be early season tradition for the whole cast, the LVP, Kyle, Adrian Malouf era. But so I guess they left on good terms. They went to the Polo Lounge.
Real quick, I made a note about the whole like Erika fainting because I am definitely still on the, I'm actually more on the fuck Erika vibe this week than I was last week, especially after like how she treated Garcelle on Watch What Happens Live. I was like, oh no, you didn't. But when she said, in regards to the fainting thing, she was said something about how she was on an episode of Law and Order when she was like 19 years old. And I was like, oh, you were on one episode of Law and Order like 35 fucking years ago, but Garcelle is boring and uninteresting with her like pages of IMDb work. The woman was in fucking Spider-Man. Like, shut your motherfucking face right now. See, there we go. That's just, I think we just know how this is going to go for me at least.
I wanted to look, because from what I'm gathering from that is, was she the cadaver in the opening scene where like Lenny, or like Detective Lenny, someone's like going to like throw away a pizza box and they screech, and then there's a
Right.
dead hooker in the dumpster? Was Erika the dead hooker?
Oh, maybe she was. Or maybe she found the dead hooker. She was a hooker who found the dead hooker and then
Yeah,
fainted.
that could be. I mean, there's always, I love those. Sounds
Yeah.
very 90s Law and Order.
Anyway, I thought I liked all of the women's outfits actually, except for Bose's. I did not like Bose's outfit.
Yeah.
Like, there's something about it just doesn't, I don't like it. But it's not bad. I'm not going to say it's bad. I just don't.
It didn't do her justice.
Exactly. But whatever. That's neither here nor there. But anyway. I did have this thought, kind of, maybe this is the wrong place to talk about it, but it's here and I have it highlighted because this was a shower thought that I had. It was a shower thought because there's this whole tension, always kind of been a little bit between Garcelle and Kyle. And there's definitely a thing that we've seen several times, Kyle saying, you didn't want Oliver talked about this season, yada, yada. But I didn't think about it until the beginning of this episode. And there was that picture of Oliver with his new baby, Valley, and then I was like, and there was a whole thing about like Lisa Vanderpump, like really, is vying for godmother. And I go, oh, what if Kyle really doesn't like Garcelle because Oliver works for LVP and is very in with LVP. So she doesn't trust Garcelle because she's afraid that Garcelle runs and tells Lisa Vanderpump stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's just another excuse to like ice her out in a sense.
I had same line of thought, but coming from a different place. I was thinking of who Garcelle goes after, and it's Kyle and Dorit. And then I was thinking back to her friendship with LVP and wondered if Garcelle is also acting on LVP's grudges. Because Garcelle, when she came onto the show, it was right after Denise Richards left. And Denise Richards, of course, was her real life friend. And she said, like, in one of the first episodes, what you did to my friend Denise. And I was like, that's weird, because now you're like kind of breaking fourth wall and back season. You weren't on the show to say that. And it's like, I wonder if she's like a mercenary, just like acting on, because her grudges very much align with her loyalties,
Yeah. I don't.
Or maybe a mutual distrust.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. So, anywho, well, it's funny. They talk about the smoking, which we all loved, especially you and I, as a current and former smoker. Like, let's talk about this.
I have a car vape now, so when I'm cruising around in Encino now, I'm more like, I don't want to, yeah.
If you're watching us on YouTube, you could have watched some vape on camera. There we go. Make sure you subscribe. We're 11 people away. We're 11 subscribers away from 1,000.
If we hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, I will indoors light a cig for you guys. We will record this like 1960s newscaster style, and I will just be here with an ashtray.
You could play Edward R. Murrow in a biopic if you don't open your mouth.
Then it's like Pauly Shore went to journalism school.
Yep, exactly.
So I guess then where we go, I mean, something Dorit said that, by the way, I do what the way Dorit reacts to people, and it's been all season, the way she stops them and is like, let's wind that back and go through your logic. She's giving an unhinged Heather Dubrow. Heather Dubrow has that same approach, like that
Mm.
thin, Chanel'd out woman. Let's talk about, like, so what you are implying is, and she went there, it opened with Kyle, where,
Mhm.
they're talking about, is Dorit acting this way to save her job? And Kyle said, I kind of felt like that. And Dorit, it's like, well, you do have special relationships with the executives. Like, wouldn't you know that I was invited back?
I think it's interesting that Kyle did not deny that. She was not denying it, and
Mm-hmm.
she stood like 10 toes down. She's like, I said what I said.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I'm not backing down from that. And that was, to me, the biggest power move that I've seen overtly from Kyle. Because just
Mm-hmm.
like Sutton says later on in the show, that's a chess move. And that's exactly what Kyle usually does. She plays chess like Lisa Vanderpump likes to play chess, which
Mm-hmm.
a lot of Lisa Vanderpump stands and a lot of Kyle stands don't like us to say, but they are very similar. That's why they
Yeah.
got along for so well, and that's also why they broke up so hard, because they are
Yeah.
very similar in the way they play these things. But that was I almost feel like, because I don't know where they're well, they're Fox Force 5, so they'll always figure out a way. It was a power play, and it was a way for Kyle to put Dorit in her place.
I could hear when Kyle didn't cut her off about that. And Andy didn't jump into it. I could hear the former housewives on her show screaming, because some of them have even said to me, Kyle's like a producer, right? You know this. And Kyle's always denied it. And she's not a producer, just so you know. But she does have special. She's a VIHW. She's a very important housewife. She's closer with Andy. She's closer with everyone. She operates on a different level. And so, but she's always denied it and played innocent. She didn't this time. She was like, "Yep, that's right, bitch. I have dinner with our boss. You
Mhm.
don't."
Yep, exactly. Oh my
She's like, "Play
gosh.
nice."
Mm. And then we really go a lot into Dorit and PK. That whole
Yeah.
I'm so annoyed. I'm just so annoyed because she's just for everything. Because like it's giving very. I
I,
really
I
want her to go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, I want to believe her. I That pre-foreclosure, that's how he negotiates interest rates. I was
No,
like,
you have an ARM mortgage. That's what you have. You have an adjustable rate mortgage because he was a moron and was
mm,
like, "Oh, interest rates will go down or whatever." And they didn't. They've gone up and they've gone down again. But when you've got an ARM mortgage, like you're beholden to the market.
yeah,
So, but that's not something for you to fucking decide. Like, you don't get to decide that. The mortgage company, the bank decides when they change that. And so to be in pre-foreclosure, I had to look this up because I
mm,
don't own a home and I don't, but to be in pre-foreclosure, you have to have missed like 3 months of payment at the minimum. And then they put out a default notice and then you're in
so
pre-foreclosure.
okay, so this wasn't like a week. I didn't know those terms either about that. So it wasn't like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
he just held out a week till they'd call and remind him. No, he was
No.
really letting the house. My
Yeah,
theory.
yeah,
Oh, I'm
you
sorry.
like
Now,
you
oh,
get a letter after missing 3 payments in a row, and, like, they call you too. They do call you,
mhm.
apparently, or they're supposed to call you at least, so, I guess he could say, "I
My
never got a phone call," but
I guess now that I know from you that it's a 3-month process, you didn't just say, if you want, a week past due, better call me.
no.
My theory is more it was a power play as a threat to Dorit. He's withholding the money. He's putting their house,
Well,
jeopardizing their home.
it still could be, and she literally could not know what's
Mhm.
happening. And that's what I would call willful ignorance, because look, she and I are the same age basically, and I just went on fucking Google and I looked up pre-foreclosure in California, and I got Forbes.com telling me pre-foreclosure versus, so I'm on Forbes. I'm not on some weird site. And they
Yeah.
literally say, like, they also say, like, if your payment is late by a few days, there's no need to worry. And they usually give you a grace period of like 15 days.
Mm.
So you don't like, so I'm just like, ugh, he's probably playing games, but he also probably doesn't have any money.
Right. That's the other thing. That is the other issue. He's not, we've never seen him actually demonstrate the wealth he pretends to have. So,
Well, two things we found out this week, both from listeners of the show. And so one of them, I don't think I can use their handle, but one person reached out and said that they had worked for the couple, PK and Dorit, at one point, and said that we were right with what we had said about that. We believe that she was the breadwinner and that he was not. And she said we were basically right about that. And also that they are 10 times worse than they seem on camera. I was like, oh my
Jesus.
gosh. But so there was that from that anonymous source. And then another listener on YouTube mentioned that apparently PK got the licensing rights for the former deceased football player and soccer player Pele, like the licensing rights to like license his stuff. Whether or not he still has them, I don't know. And like what he's done with them, has he squandered them, or is there just no interest in Pele anymore? Not sure exactly, but it doesn't seem to, if he still has them, he doesn't seem to be doing much or doing well with them.
Yeah.
I don't
We
know.
because I think we've asked recently, what does he do? I mean,
Mhm.
besides Boy George, management, the references to real estate, I have no clue.
Yeah, like he has like some show in England, like a real estate show in England and everything
Mhm.
like that. And I mean, I don't know, but anyway, like it and Dorit then mentioned, like going back to like her being the breadwinner, Dorit mentioned that she does believe that he is insecure about her fame.
Mhm.
And that like, yeah, but I did. She like pushes and pulls, she backtracks. I would like her to just like stand firm on something, because then she's like, no, he's not that bad of a father or whatever. And I was like, excuse me, if you're in the throes of an addiction, you cannot be a good and present parent. I'm just going to say that. Like, I think
Mm.
you're probably trying to be, maybe, hopefully, and he probably thinks that he is. But if you're in the middle of it, and especially when she says, oh, he sees them on Saturdays when he's in town,
Yeah.
excuse me, excuse me.
And she did basically admit that he's back to drinking.
Yeah.
I mean, that there wasn't a denial.
Mhm.
She what is it, pled the fifth. She's like, he doesn't tell me,
She did kind
but
of like a shitty thing. Like, even though I don't like him at all, and I'm totally fine with her saying that he is an alcoholic, um, I also was kind of like, don't pull this whole thing of like no comment, but like kind of comment. Like,
mm,
but let me like insinuate stuff. Just either say it or don't.
mm.
That's my thing. Say it or don't.
I wonder if she's preparing for like a custody battle, or I don't know.
She doesn't seem smart enough to be doing that.
It's true.
I
I
mean,
mean,
look
she
what
has.
she's doing. Kyle is being way more smart about and calculated about whatever she's going to be doing, in my opinion, with
Mm,
whatever she and Mauricio are going to do. What Dorit's playing fast and loose. I don't. I just don't think she's playing dumb. I think she just is willfully ignorant about a lot of
mm,
the stuff, like the stuff that like Sutton was bringing up. That's fine if you don't like it coming from Sutton because of the issues that you guys have, but Sutton is giving you very good advice. And you're
Mhm.
getting the same good advice from Erika, who is your friend and you do trust.
Yeah.
So listen to both of them.
Watching Boz was fun. Come alive at her first reunion. I was like proud of her.
I mean, she's here, and she's at least she was at the beginning. Somebody asked her if she was nervous, and she admitted she was like, "Yeah, I am kind of
Mhm.
nervous." And I was like, "Well, that's good." And she did admit to watching the show beforehand.
I like too when I thought of like Onomi and stuff, like where she was like, I watched the show and I thought it was kind of amped up. I thought the drama might be fake. She's like, when I got into it, I realized the intricacies of what goes on in these relationships.
Mhm.
Like, yes, it is very complicated. It is a minefield to navigate.
Yep. I do find it very interesting that since since the Watch What Happens Live, I mean the finale, but then the Watch What Happens Live episode with Erika. What's been coming up for me, granted, it's an algorithm, but Black Bravo TikTok has been going after Bose. Like they've
Mm,
really stepped up their love of Garcelle, which I am all for. But they are like tearing into Bose in ways that I'm not necessarily I don't feel comfortable. Like, do you know what I mean? Because I'm like, I can't speak on these things because I'm a white woman and I haven't experienced this stuff. But I encourage anybody who to go down that rabbit hole because there is some tea in there. Whether or not it's completely true, I'm not sure. But there's like a lot of
mm.
stuff about her work at Netflix and her work at Uber and what it's like working for her or being in that context of that dynamic. And I was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, but they're
One
going
thing
after her.
about like with what because I've seen too on like Twitter and Instagram the way people have pit those two against each other,
Hmm.
Bose and Garcelle, and I'm like, you guys aren't helping your cause.
Well, I
Bo
think didn't Garcelle put up like a story that says not all
Kinfolk, not yeah.
skin folk are kinfolk, and people were like, "Oh,
But like I mean with this season where there are so many people, Bose and Garcelle were not the big point of tension, but they're
no,
throwing it on them because they're of the same racial background. So it's like, and I was like, okay, there are a lot of fights. There are bigger fights for them with the other women to talk about, and they're making it like there could only be one. Basically, that's what they were saying. There can only be one.
well," and
Zero sum.
that's a lot of the conversation that's happening that I've seen on Black Bravo TikTok is that
Mhm.
this conversation about why it can there quote unquote only be one and that whole
Yeah.
thing. So I was
Because
just like,
that, yeah, that's what like caught me off guard. Because it was like they weren't the two at war this season,
no.
but they're making this all about that. And I was like,
Mhm.
there are a lot of other people Garcelle they could blame for Garcelle's departure, but I don't think Bose is the cause.
No, no, I don't think so either. I do find it interesting that that Garcelle Garcelle and Bose met before the show started
Hmm.
taping, and that Bose asked for the tea, and and then Garcelle was like, "I'm not going to give you it because I want you to decide on your own," and she really respected her for that. But then she becomes friends with Dorit so quickly without necessarily, as far as we can tell from filming, from what is shown to us through editing and stuff like that, it doesn't seem like she let Dorit sway her on people, whereas like Garcelle was like, I'm not going to try to sway you. I'm going to try
Mm.
to let you decide. So that seemed hypocritical to me, at least from what the way I was looking at it. And also,
May,
I
may,
also was like, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, the way I would look at it, I don't know. Trying to play devil's advocate is like Dorit was the most welcoming to her. Dorit took her under her wing more. Well, you know what I mean? So that's
Dorit
where the
love bombed her.
yeah. It was I
Dorit
wish I
also,
could have been there for that first conversation.
yeah.
Oh my god, Bozoma. Like, I can't even do her accent. Are those archive Givenchy? Like, just like
Well, let's just look at it. And I know, like at the beginning of the season, I was like, I'm loving this Dorit, and I still am. Like the way the season went is just crazy, and I've really
mm,
enjoyed this season. Some people haven't. Whatever. I stand by what I said. What I said. But let's just look at it. Ooh, Erika and Kyle are not the most friendly to new people. They're kind of
mhm,
cold, and even Kyle admitted it during the reunion tonight. She came on as Sutton's friend. So she already knows Sutton. And she met up with Garcelle pre this show, pre taping.
mhm,
So Dorit's kind of the only one she didn't really know at filming that night, besides Kathy. Kathy, she's not going to necessarily become best friends with right away either, and she knows that because she recognizes the hierarchy. Bose is smart
mhm,
enough for that. So, like, of course, like she spends this time talking to this woman who, I'm sorry, any woman going through a divorce or a major life change, you just emotionally vomit all over
mhm.
people. And Bose was like a soft place to land. And it worked out. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be friends. I am totally fine with them being friends, but I am just saying Bose was definitely swayed, and I think her second season is gonna be hard. I think it's gonna be really hard for her.
Yeah. I've thought about and I've seen people saying this online, and there's I mean, I don't I get some of people are saying it's like a racially motivated thing where they got rid of Garcelle. Now they're gonna turn on Bose. I won't go that far, but what I will say is we've talked about it like every episode. The pattern of Housewives, especially Beverly Hills, is to build you up, then tear you down. Season
Exactly.
one, hunky dory, season two, Aspen. And
Mhm,
it's gone that way for Housewives over the years. And Bose had a very good season.
mhm.
They're gonna turn.
Yeah. I also will say this too. Let's not get it twisted. Bose is also having an easier time coming in because Garcelle already did the heavy lifting and like laid the groundwork for other Black housewives in Beverly
Mhm.
Hills. Now, Anne Marie was a flop because Anne Marie is just a flop. Like
Yeah.
she just was whatever. But like Bose, like especially for Bose's relationship with Dorit, Garcelle spent 4 seasons calling out Dorit's microaggressions and passive racism, and also the racism within the other women. So
Mhm.
Bose is coming in to an easier, well, what I can from my vantage point, she's coming into an easier situation because Garcelle has done the heavy lifting. Now, whether or not that is true or accurate, whatever. That's just how I perceive it because I am a Garcelle apologist.
Mhm. I'm not so much.
That's okay.
I'm neutral on her. I wanted her to stay. I would have liked to see my goal for this, by the way, because I talked about throughout this season, Garcelle needs to break away from Sutton. I
Mhm.
saw that through my armchair producer's lens. But what my grand scheme was for them to turn on each other like Kyle and LVP and give us a fallout next season that would shock us and keep us riveted. I didn't expect Garcelle to just leave us.
Did you notice, like, I'm sure you did, but how they sat they sat Sutton right in between Kyle and Garcelle.
Mhm.
So I was just like, oh, of course they did. So Sutton is really, really literally in the middle of it, right there
Yeah,
between the two of them. I was like, oh
which is fun to watch because she can't really take it.
no,
She
she
cannot.
can't.
You're seeing her. You're seeing it, and then she's going to throughout this episode, you see on one hand when they sit down and she's very sweet to Garcelle and is like, if things get stressful, I'm gonna look towards you, my happy place. But then cut to break and she's like rubbing up to Kyle and like everybody hates me. And
I
I'm
know.
like, this was
I know.
you
And at
know.
the end, she's like, it's going to be really hard for me. And I'm like, do you see what they've already been doing to Garcelle? Although, okay, we said this before we started taping that this you'd been seeing everything online and you're like, "Oh, I didn't feel like it had quite the punches like I thought it was going to be." Yet at the same time, I do think that the episode was paced very well, that it
Mhm.
definitely built up to this momentum going up against Garcelle. Now, all these like little packages that I don't think that they happened in this time. So personally, as an editor, like I was like, this is great editing. The way that they like story produced this, I was like, this is fabulous
Mhm.
because it really did lead up to something. So it'll be interesting to see how like the next two, because sometimes I go, why did they cut this like this? Why are they pacing it like this? And I think the pacing was
Mhm.
perfect. So it really, because it really just built up to this like, and you just see as it goes on, Garcelle just not giving me any more fucks.
Garcelle, I think Garcelle walked in to, what is it called? She walked into a
An ambush?
Yes, that's the word. I was like, not
Yeah.
assassination. She did not walk. I think if anything, she thought she'd have an easier time this episode. She's on the last chair, which isn't good, but it's not good for your future, but it also means you're probably not going to be in the hot seat.
Mhm.
And on top of it, with everything going on between Sutton and Dorit versus Kyle, you could see her as they were circling around her slowly. It clicked. Oh my God, I'm the one they're taking out.
She was like Fox Force 5. I mean, it was like, it was like Dorit going after her, Kyle going after her, and then Erika going after her. Like when they even started Garcelle
Bose
Bose
addressed her
going after her,
too.
yeah. I mean, when Gar's package started, she did not look happy. Like, period. Dot. She was like, I do not want to. I almost don't want to watch that. And like, I mean, when Erika said like, we want like you're boring. Like, I was. We want the juicy scoop on you. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, Miss Wallpaper in my rented home in my
Mhm.
leased Porsche. Like the fact that you were being sued by Tom's estate just happens to drop the day after the finale
Yeah.
happens. Oh, that's a lot. That's something you've been sitting on for months. Like stuff that was going to happen. Who have you been fucking, Erica? What's been going on with you in your lawsuit with Marco? Like there's so many things that about Erica's life that have not been talked about. Like,
We
come
we
on.
s- we still don't. She went right for, we want to know who you're dating or whatever. And there are a lot of rumors about at least two wealthy older men, a la Tom, who she's buddied up with to support her. We don't know. The only thing
We
we
don't
got
know.
of her house is wallpaper and her mom visiting for 5 minutes.
Mhm.
We don't know what goes on in her house either. So that I can't
No.
defend. I was like, okay, Erica, you're not the one to say it.
No.
Kyle had a good point. I've always argued this about Kyle too. When they were like, what about Kyle hiding Morgan? And
Mhm.
they're like, we want, and Kyle said, and it's true, she has given so much of her life to this show. She hasn't gone 14 seasons hiding things
Mhm.
from season one. So she can get a pass here and there. Erica, no.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with that about Kyle. However, but I do say you cannot put the toothpaste back in the tube
Yeah.
with Morgan. And so I don't know exactly what, but I do think there are different and better ways for her to address that situation.
Hmm.
Instead of like, because it just feels disingenuous the way she talks about it. And I think that's the problem that not only is Garcelle having, but I think a lot of the viewers are having, is like, just say something. Just say something. You could say
Hmm.
like, she's my best friend or whatever. Like, I still love Garcelle for saying, if you want to be a lesbian, be a lesbian. Like,
Hmm.
nobody cares. And the way that like even Kyle's trying to make that sound nefarious. And I was like, no, she's not. God damn it, man. Uh,
Yeah, one thing with Kyle in that game, which I can see being frustrated to the other housewives, is one, she does that. On the show, you cannot talk about it, don't mention her name. Then you click over to TMZ, she's out in Europe, she's out in Nashville, she's getting sushi at the Glen Center, but around LA. And so there is, and it's twofold. One, she's silencing them. Two, she gets more press than any housewife because of it. And
Yeah.
in a game where, in a show where, especially this Beverly Hills, where the whole thing is to, she not only trips up their storyline, she outshines them off the show. So,
Mhm.
no, it's a chess move.
Well, and I agree with Garcelle when she said that she said, "Well, I would be a hypocrite," but really all of them are hypocrites. You know, to say like all that stuff is happening. They're seeing all that stuff happening with Kyle and Morgan, and then to not address it on the show. Like it's like, well, then do that stuff when they're not filming,
Hmm.
and then they maybe won't address it on the show then.
Yeah.
Like when Erika's husband was found to be defrauding and embezzling. Like, but they're just, that's the thing,
Hmm.
is that Garcelle and Sutton are willing to ask those questions. And I feel like Sutton's wanting to be one of the popular girls, one of the Barbies, and one of Fox Force 5 has caused her to like stop asking those questions.
Hmm.
Like that, the way that she did at the beginning, because she's like, well, this isn't getting me anywhere. I'm not with the popular girls. They don't like me for asking this stuff.
And this, in that whole situation, an interesting moment came up that demonstrates it. It is where they're talking about, Kyle is addressing Garcelle about how she's feeling the lesbian rumors and bringing it up when she didn't ask her to. And Garcelle says, Sutton and I were, Sutton, what did you say off camera? And Sutton says, I think she really wants to protect Kyle or protect Morgan.
Mhm.
Garcelle says, no. You see,
You said,
Sutton's breaking. Yeah.
yep. She said that's a chess move. And Kyle was unhappy to hear that Sutton had said that. And then
Hmm.
that's when Kyle called the two of them mean girls. And I was like,
Hmm.
fuck you, Kyle. Fuck you. Like I sound like Garcelle right now. That's what we're both Sagittariuses. Like,
Hmm.
fuck you, Kyle. Like, no, that was and Kyle is the head of Fox Force 5, calling the two of them mean girls. When we have them like circling, like uh, yeah,
I mean, it's inevitable for Sutton to want to get drawn into it because, I mean,
Mhm.
like you said, the draw to the popular girls. Sutton's like the awkward one who buys
Yeah,
her way in. It's like she's she's Gretchen Wieners and Christian Strack invented toaster strudel. That's
exactly.
why they put up with her. Kyle's Regina George.
Mhm.
And and something that brought to my mind too is because obviously, see right there, Sutton is distancing herself from Garcelle for the sake of Kyle's approval. Garcelle obviously seemed a bit blindsided by it, and I wonder if going into the reunion, Garcelle confided to Sutton she's not sure if she's coming back. She might quit. We'll see how the reunion goes. And in that moment, not only was Garcelle's usefulness, because I don't know if they were truly BFFs. I think they were show BFFs,
Mhm.
friends in real life, but best friends on camera. And
Okay.
so exaggerated for camera. I don't think they were soulmates, soul sisters. But
No.
in that moment, Sutton had to start thinking about herself and her future on the show and was like, well, hey, Kyle.
I mean, in all honesty, I wouldn't blame her because
Mm. Yeah,
if that happened, if that happened.
it's practical. It's practical. It's
Mhm.
a housewife move.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Um,
Garcelle's the only one who's ever had her back. So
mhm.
she might be like, well, if I can't beat them, join them.
Mhm. You know, when later on, when Kyle got mad at Garcelle and was saying, "Oh, well, on the boat, you and Jennifer Tilly weren't standing up for Sutton, and then later on, you told me that I should have because like she looks up to me, but that's not my fucking fault." And I was like, "Well, there's your answer, Sutton." But
Mhm.
my thing was that I got what Garcelle was saying is like the thing is that Garcelle. And then we saw Tilly do it, but Tilly's only been is a friend of and has only been on one season. Garcelle has stood up for Sutton publicly on camera for these girls, for Sutton time and time again.
Mhm.
Kyle has not. Kyle either stands up for Sutton verbally after the fact and says, I support you, or this or that, or does it off camera. She doesn't do it on camera. She doesn't do it
Right.
with her actions. And that's what Garcelle was trying to convey to her,
Mhm.
is like, we do it enough. We're already here for her. She knows that we are here for her. She cannot tell that you are there for her. She wants you to be. And Kyle, because Kyle doesn't care about Sutton much.
Right, right.
She doesn't.
Kyle does not care
No,
about Sutton.
no.
It is they are coworkers.
Yeah.
It's a parent. Like even when Garcelle's basically at some point in this convo, she's like, Kyle, Sutton wanted you that she feels close to you. That's why I said it. And Kyle was basically like, it's her fault if she feels close to me. Like that's her mistake. No.
That was so rude. I would, if I was Sutton, if somebody who I wanted to be my friend and I'd been trying so hard said that right in front of my face to my best friend, I'd be like, I would be so embarrassed and I'd be shattered, to be honest with you. I'd
Mhm.
be like, oh my gosh, what have I done? What have I been? It's, it's a zero-sum game, honestly, with
Yeah.
Kyle Richards for Sutton, in my opinion. So she should just get out. But I don't think she is. I don't think she is.
No, and this is where I felt bad for Garcelle in the course of that conversation where it's becoming apparent as viewers watching their body language that Sutton, her one anchor friend, is obviously kind of tossing her aside for Kyle. And I was like, this was where I was like, what Garcelle's problem is. And I don't mean her personal problem. I mean, it's just the situation on the show and the dynamics is that she had one ally. Garcelle can hold her own. We've seen that. That's not the issue. She doesn't need backup, but you do need someone. Otherwise, as they say, you're an island in the cast. She had Sutton. Her one ally is weak. Sutton is weak, not just her legs, but her spirit, her loyalty, her confidence. And so Team Kyle is a seasoned, well-oiled machine. As Garcelle said, it started clicking halfway through the episode for Garcelle. I'm the target. So you cannot count on Sutton to go up against the whole group.
Mm-mm. No, no. And I
Yeah.
think after even like Garcelle could tell that when they broke for lunch, like when she was talking,
Mhm.
she was just like, I'm done. She had no more fucks
Mhm.
to give. She's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
These women, absolutely not. And that's before she even apparently walked off. But especially because then Dorit brings up the whole break-in. Garcelle saying, I think, that somebody planned that break-in. And I wanted to like smack Dorit. Not actually smack her,
Mhm.
but just be like a I was like, because she was pulling that thing of A, not listening, B, hearing whatever she wanted to hear, because she started going off of like, you said that my husband, da, da, da. And I was like, well, he's soon to be your ex-husband, so can we start getting that straight? I was like, but plenty of people think that PK set this up. Plenty of people like think that this was a setup. You're just lucky that Garcelle doesn't think that you set it up. Lots of people think that
Mhm.
Dorit is part of the setup. And then there's a lot of people who don't think that she's part of the setup, but think that
Yeah.
PK is. And then she said, that PK would have to be a sociopath to like do that. I was like, excuse me, he is one. I'm like, he is one. Did you not
A
read
money hungry alcohol, or not money hungry, a
that?
broke
Yeah,
alcoholic,
a broke
allegedly
alcoholic, actually
desperate.
who owes money to casinos in Vegas and God
Mhm.
knows who else, who also like, let's get it. Did you read that statement? Did you hear that statement? The
Mhm.
man does not like you. Like, that's what that statement said. He basically was like, I don't like her. Like, I don't want to be on the, I don't like her. Like, she's, and that was so messy and rude and mean and just like a terrible statement. Like, even if I wanted to agree with parts of it, I still was like, ooh, you're a dick. You're such a
But that
dick.
it was in that moment, well, we knew before, but in that moment, it's like there's no going back from that.
No.
That's basically a divorce announcement. Like, I'm
But she
not
keeps
coming
doing
back.
that. She keeps playing that whole game of like, but he's my heart and I love him. But, and I was like, girl, stop being Kyle. Like, stop like doing this shit. Like, this man, like, at least Mauricio, I think, still cares about Kyle as a
Mhm.
human being and a person. PK doesn't give a shit about you. He's
Yeah.
throwing you under the bus. He's calling you a vapid, like, harpy is what he's doing, basically. And and he's being so rude about it publicly. Like, no.
I will have to say this is where, because I'm very not on I don't want to say on the fence about Garcelle, because I'm not, I don't hate her at all. I've been but I don't stan her, and
Yeah.
I'm looking at this through, this is where she did need to be taken to task, though. I do think she deserved to be confronted for that, because here's what went through my head when she's like, it's just my opinion, it's other people have said it. And I was like, Garcelle, what if Dorit kept saying seasons later, maybe you hired the bots to attack your own son. It's just my opinion. It's something that crossed my mind. Because what Garcelle did, if it was something like, oh, her purse got stolen, no, there was a gun pointed
Mhm.
at this involves their kids, for both of them,
Mhm.
for Garcelle with the bots, and for Dorit having a home invasion with her children. And so for Garcelle to just boil it down, it sounded like Tamara to me, but delivered in a much softer tone. But that's my opinion. That's how I feel.
Mhm.
I was like,
I
it
see what
would
you're
not
saying.
have. That's where I was like, no, Garcelle, in those final minutes where they're digging into her for that, that's
Mhm.
where I was like, okay, Garcelle, you've never had it like this before, but you're about to hear.
Mhm.
Like, because that is something, if I were Dorit, I would be upset about.
Granted, though, Dorit brings up stuff from the past like all the fucking time. Like, she can't ever let anything go. Like, she brings up
But
stuff all the time. But I get what you're
in the
saying. I know what
yeah,
you're saying. Yeah.
it's like this one topic in particular is very sensitive, and it's like, wait, there's a direct parallel with the show with Garcelle. It would not have gone over just, oh, that's my opinion, Garcelle. I think you hired those bots to terrorize your children.
Mhm.
Oh, my opinion. That's where I was like, okay, Garcelle, you're gonna have to sit there and take this.
Mhm.
You're gonna have to sit there for a few minutes and hear her out. Dorit finally has something logical.
I do think though, like, Bose stepping in to school Garcelle on that was no. This
Yeah,
is between Garcelle and Dorit. Like,
correct.
I wanted to be like, you step out, Bose. Like, this is exactly what everybody gets mad at Garcelle doing
Mhm.
for Sutton, and then you're doing it exactly for Dorit. So which
Right.
is it? Which is it?
Right. Yeah. No, I felt that was a moment between Dorit and Garcelle to have, where Dorit was actually had every right to be upset. And but I don't think she needed Bose's backup, and I don't think it was Bose's
Mhm.
place to do those arguments from other seasons. No. Just stay in your own
There's
season.
there's something about that that I can't articulate that I do I disagree with. Like, I see where you're coming from, but I disagree with it. And I feel like it's maybe because like Dorit in other conversations like has deflected so much is that I felt it was a deflection from like other stuff, but that could be also me confusing it with other things. Does that make sense?
No.
Like, I'm just kind of like, she deflects so much and I'm just kind of like, ugh. Like, it was brought up once this season at the very beginning, kind of in passing, and that was it. Like, this wasn't a topic that kept coming up during
But
the
it was
season.
from like what, like 2 seasons ago? I mean, it has been kind of Garcelle's acts with her. She likes to make it a joke. The same way she didn't like when they laughed off her son being cussed at. Things like that. I just
I mean,
felt it was Dorit's. I felt it was Garcelle's time because she's never really been schooled in that, and it had a
mhm,
reunion hot seat moment,
mhm,
which we're gonna. Apparently, she does not like.
yeah. I guess I didn't feel I just don't feel that she's brought it up that much. I feel like it's something that has been said, but that Dorit keeps bringing up
Mm.
as something that Garcelle brings up, and the Garcelle's like, "I'm bringing it up just because you keep bringing it up." Like, and the
Well,
other people bring it up, but this could just be like a difference between your perception, my perception, their
yeah, because
perception, everything like
I,
that.
I'm looking at it more as just what Garcelle is implying there, and it is very dark and
Mhm.
very terrible. That essentially PK, and I'm not defending PK, but I'm just saying take it for remove who said it. Doesn't matter if it was Garcelle, doesn't matter if it was Tamra or Margaret Josephs or whoever, implying that that person's husband sent someone to point a gun at their own children in their house is very heavy. And to just keep brushing it off like that was my opinion. I'm sorry, I heard about it. That was my opinion. As like, your apology is not matching the weight of that. And for someone who wants to hold everyone accountable, she did not like being in that hot seat. So,
It's just funny because I think it's because like I thought the same thing as Garcelle, and so it's like, and it's not that like somebody would hire somebody to like point a gun. He may not have like, and it doesn't really matter. It's just like
yeah.
more like I have those. I I don't think very well of a lot of people, to be honest, and of humanity a lot of the time. So I like don't put it past people, especially like we know I like to throw a white man under the bus. A desperate white man will do crazy like there's a thing called family annihilators for a reason. Like
Yeah.
so I'm not saying that he is one. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying the darkness of humanity. We've already seen it in Beverly Hills before.
But on the
So,
flip, we could see her securing her spot on the show, if we
yeah.
want to follow that logic,
Mhm.
by hiring bots to attack her son. I'm not that that happened, not even my opinion, like Garcelle would say. I'm just like, that's where I felt for once they were on, Dorit was on the right wavelength with her. Because
Mhm.
oftentimes it's just, you're like, okay, like, shut up, Dorit. But this time
Mhm.
I was like, okay, yeah, Garcelle, you are going to have to do more than just say that's my opinion. She's lucky it wasn't. She's lucky Dorit and PK um, weren't people of means and resources. Can you imagine if they said that about someone like Kathy? Or
Oh
she
my
said
god.
Kristen Stracke hired, so like never heard from again. It was,
But
yeah.
she wouldn't. Anyway.
Yeah. That's the point. That's the point.
Oh, man. Uh,
Mm,
anyway, that's pretty much it. Because then they break for
yeah,
lunch, and
yeah.
Son keeps "I wanna cry," but I was like, "Why do you wanna cry? Garcelle's in the hot seat." And then I'm like, "Well, what if they edited that's gonna come into episode 2 that was already there?" I was like,
Mhm.
we'll see." But, oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. So we got one. Garcelle walks off and it's like, F them all, F each and every one.
Yup.
Sutton was not an exception.
Nope. Not at all. Oh my gosh.
So we have two more episodes to go. I'm guessing next episode is with Kathy and Jennifer Tilly.
I mean, that's what it
Um,
looks like. So,
yeah.
yeah. I'm just like, it's spicy for sure.
Mhm.
We'll see how it ends. I just wonder, yeah, I wonder how this is all gonna go.
What we're obviously all tuning in for is to see what the breaking point is for Garcelle. I'd like to know too.
I mean, I find it interesting that so many people like Erica say that it's like Garcelle is boring and stuff, and yet Garcelle is the one that everybody's talking about for these last couple of episodes and like for the reunion and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Oh,
dude.
absolutely. I want to know because I'm glad she didn't walk off after this episode. I'd be like, okay, that's what I was saying, like with the Dorit thing. I'm like, you have to sit there and take it. everyone gets everyone gets punched in this show. Like, you know, even they've all been confronted. But like, don't go out like LVP, Garcelle.
Right. No.
That's why. So I was like, if she walked off after that little 5-minute spat with Dorit, oh my God. So I want to know what's going to be the breaking point and if Sutton is involved.
That's the key, is that we don't know if Sutton is involved or not,
Yeah.
because we kind of haven't heard anything from either one of them regarding that. So we're kind of like, be interesting.
We'll see. Well,
Hmm.
on that note, what little luxurious begging can we do here? Is I mean, like, on that note, if you want to get us I don't know, Burke. We know where we're going.
Actually, maybe we should stop begging for that and start telling people what they will get when they subscribe and follow us. All the
Oh, I like
amazing
this.
insider stuff. Yeah. I
But
think that's a
wait,
better
that's not all. Order now, subscribe now, and
subscribe now.
we'll throw in the grilling rack, the baster, free shipping.
Did you know that Jordan Ross Myers is made of Teflon? Ooh.
Teflon Jordan. No, but that's right. If you could make sure you hit subscribe. We're everywhere. Podcasts, YouTube, social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Blue Sky, Craigslist, casual, and no.
Oh my God, I wish that was still around. Actually, I'm glad it's not still around. Anyway, like I said at the beginning of the episode, we are like 11 people away, at least by recording time, from the 1,000 that we want. We're trying to hit that mark because then it helps a lot. So yes, actually, and I would also say in the comments of TikTok, the comments of YouTube, tell us, are you Dorit or Garcelle? And also, we're thinking about coming out with some merch. If you've made it this far, I'm happy. Think about coming out with merch. What kind of merch would you want to see? Some PCP merch, like sweatshirts, hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, hats to hide your bald head, masks, what ski masks to rob people with?
Oh, on that note, oh God, I was about to lapse into LVP, but we're in a new era now. We are in a new era now. So make sure you subscribe, honey. What else do you have going on in your pathetic little life? I thought you were Kyle.